Scene. Wide aerial view of the open Pacific Ocean under a deep blue sky. Sunlight glimmering off calm waves. Sound. Low hum of distant jet engines. Ocean breeze softly rising. Narrator. In the silent vastness of the Pacific, the most advanced warship ever built by the United States Navy, the USS Gerald R cuts through the waves like a blade of steel. She represents unmatched power, a floating fortress of technology and air superiority. But in a world where hypersonic weapons redefine the meaning of speed, even giants can be tested. Scene. Transition to satellite imagery of China's coastline, zooming toward military installations. Sound. Ominous music builds. Tension increasing. Narrator. Across the South China Sea, thousands of miles away, 12 sleek, deadly projectiles are raised onto launch platforms. Each one, ADF-17 hypersonic glide vehicle, China's pride, capable of flying more than 5 times the speed of sound. What follows is a hypothetical analysis of how the world's most advanced aircraft carrier might fare under a coordinated hypersonic strike. What the world prays never happens, but every naval commander must prepare for. Scene. Slow motion close-up of missile silos opening. DF-17s rising into the air. Sound. Deep rumble. Then a sharp whoosh of ignition. Narrator. Once launched, the DF-17 doesn't soar straight like a conventional ballistic missile. It climbs into the atmosphere, then dips down, riding the edge of space, gliding, maneuvering, evading radar locks. Traveling at over Mach 10, it covers 1,000 kilometers in mere minutes. The target, the USS Ford and its carrier strike group, stationed somewhere east of Taiwan. Scene! USS Ford, surrounded by destroyers and cruisers forming a defensive ring. Sound. Ship radar pings. Faint electronic hum of command center. Narrator. The Gerald R. Ford isn't alone. It sails with a fleet Aegis-equipped destroyers, cruisers, and submarines. Each one armed with advanced SM-6 interceptors designed for high-speed missile defense. Yet hypersonics change the rules. These weapons don't just rely on speed. They dance unpredictably through the air, shifting trajectories mid-flight, designed to outthink computers. Scene. Command room aboard USS Ford, red lighting as alert klaxons sound. Sound. Alarm blaring. Radio chatter intensifying. Narrator. Radar operators catch faint signatures on their screens, ghostly blips that appear, vanish, then multiply. Within seconds, the entire task force knows what's coming. 12 hypersonic weapons inbound. Impact in less than 5 minutes. Scene. Digital displays showing tracking lines converging on the task force. Sound. Rising orchestral tension. Heartbeats layered beneath. Narrator. The Aegis combat system springs into action. Data from satellites and ship-based sensors merge into a single tactical picture. Interceptors are armed. Electromagnetic jammers go live. And electronic warfare specialists begin scrambling to distort incoming guidance systems. The USS Ford braces for the unthinkable. Scene. View of SM-6 missiles being launched from nearby destroyers. Sound. Missile launch roars, echoing across the sea. Narrator. The first line of Defense Standard Missile 6 interceptors leap into the air, climbing at Mach speeds toward the approaching hypersonics. The SM-6 was never designed for this class of target, but its upgraded dual-mode seeker gives it a chance. It can predict the missile's next move. Scene. Split-screen visualization of SM-6 interceptors closing in on DF-17 trajectories. Sound. High-pitched radar tracking tones, growing louder. Narrator. The Chinese DF-17s begin evasive maneuvers, banking, gliding, diving through atmospheric layers, each producing plasma trails that confuse sensors. The SM-6 interceptors detonate in near-space bursts, scattering fragments of heat and metal. 2 hypersonics vanish from the radar intercepted mid-flight. 10 remain. Scene. Hypersonic missiles streaking through the upper atmosphere toward the fleet. Sound. Sonic booms crack through the air. Narrator. Within moments, the surviving missiles descend below radar horizons, coming in low over the sea. The carrier's closed defense systems prepare for the final stand. Scene. Close-up of phalanx. Sibs spinning up. Barrels glowing. Sound. Worry. Metallic spin. Machine gun bursts. Narrator. At just a few miles out, the phalanx CIWS close in. Weapon system comes alive. It fires 4,500 rounds per minute, a wall of tungsten slugs meant to shred anything that dares approach. The roar of its guns merges with the chaos of alarms and explosions echoing across the fleet. Scene. A missile slams into the ocean nearby, erupting a towering plume of seawater. Sound. Deafening explosion. Water crashing down. Narrator. One hypersonic missile misses by mere meters, detonating in the sea. The shockwave ripples through the hull of the Ford. Another missile is destroyed mid-air by a CIWS burst, but several break through. Scene. Flash of an impact on the deck of a nearby destroyer. Flames erupting. Sound. Explosion. Metal tearing. Alarms blaring. Narrator. A supporting destroyer takes a direct hit its radar mast. Shredded. Systems offline. The rest of the fleet moves to shield the carrier, creating a defensive wall of ships and electronic countermeasures. Scene? Overhead shot, showing the USS Ford launching aircraft into the sky. Sound. Jet engines roar as FA-18s and F-35CS take off. Narrator. As the battle unfolds, the USS Ford launches its own response. FA-18. Super Hornets and F-35C Lightning E's scramble into the sky, armed with AIM-260 missiles and electronic pods to hunt for the launch platforms that fired the hypersonics. The fight extends beyond the immediate horizon into the realm of satellite tracking, cyber warfare, and precision retaliation. Scene. Commanders studying screens, satellite imagery, highlighting Chinese coastal sites. Sound. Calm. Electronic beeping. Distant rumble of jets. Narrator. U.S. Strategic Command begins triangulating the launch points using infrared satellite data. If this were real, retaliation would involve not just carrier aircraft, but potentially land-based, long-range strikes, stealth bombers, or even cyber operations to disable enemy targeting systems. Scene. Visualization of missile defense layers around the carrier group. Sound. Rhythmic. Pulsing music. Symbolizing tension and complexity. Narrator. This is what modern warfare looks like, where milliseconds decide survival, and algorithms wage invisible battles faster than any human can react. The USS Ford's layered defense CGSM-6E SSM RAM and CIWS creates concentric rings of protection. It's not impenetrable, but it's resilient. The ship's electronic warfare suites, NSA Le Coup, Train Taidos UB7, jam guidance links, and decoy radar signatures, forcing incoming weapons to miss their mark. Scene? Close-up of sailors working in unison, controlling radar and interception systems. Sound. Rapid communication. Intense yet controlled atmosphere. Narrator. Every operator, every system, functions as part of a symphony of defense. The battle lasts less than 6 minutes, but it tests decades of innovation and training. Scene. Aftermath.com. Ocean. Smoke on the horizon. The carrier still afloat. Sound. Music slows. Tone softens. Wind whistling. Narrator. When the smoke clears, the USS Ford remains afloat, scarred but alive. Out of 12 incoming missiles, 8 were neutralized before impact. 2 were diverted by jamming, 1 exploded prematurely, and 1 found its mark on an escort vessel. For a world on edge, this simulation shows both the peril and promise of modern naval warfare. Scene. Slow drone shot, circling the Ford. Sunset reflecting off its deck. Sound. Deep orchestral _ emotional tone. Narrator. The lesson is clear. In the era of hypersonic weapons, no defense is perfect, but layered resilience can mean the difference between survival and annihilation. Hypersonics may dominate the offense, but intelligence, coordination, and adaptive technology remain humanity's strongest shield. Scene. Transition to visuals of advanced radar domes, satellite relays, and control centers. Sound. Soft ambient tones. Pulsing. Radar beeps. Narrator. The United States Navy continues to evolve, developing next-generation interceptors, directed energy weapons, and quantum radar systems that could one day neutralize hypersonics before they enter lethal range. Meanwhile, nations like China, Russia, and the US race to perfect weapons traveling faster than any pilot can see. Scene. Montage of global missile tests. Radar grids lighting up and carrier flight decks in action. Sound. Rhythmic cinematic percussion, symbolizing global tension. Narrator. Every test, every deployment, every simulated strike each brings the world closer to a new kind of warfare. A war of data, of speed, of precision. In such a world, the USS Ford isn't just a ship, it's a symbol. A demonstration that even in an age of unstoppable weapons, strategy, preparation, and courage still hold the line. Scene. Final wide shot. The USS Ford sails into the fading sunset. Jets flying overhead in formation. Sound. Music swells to a heroic crescendo, fading slowly into silence. Narrator. This is the future of conflicted delicate balance between deterrence and destruction, where the speed of sound no longer defines the limits of war, but the speed of decision does. Scene fades to black. Sound, final low heartbeat echo, then silence.